But I don't want to give up my artifact weapon.
Too bad.
I'm Rage.
I'm Sage.
And today we are going to discuss something that I've seen a lot of YouTubers talk about, but and please leave a comment down below if somebody has talked about it, but I think a lot of YouTubers and a lot of theory crafters are missing an obvious point about how Blizzard is going to get us and our characters, lore-wise, to feasibly and logically give up the artifact weapons that we have been using the entire expansion of Legion and all the power that they have.
So I guess you could consider this kind of a part 3 of our End of Legion discussions. Wouldn't you say so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A part 3 for that. And so we're talking about the wound again in Silithus that's going to be coming. Spoilers, if you didn't know, I'm sorry. But should have watched another video. But there's a gigantic wound, and Sargeras runs, his broken sword, so to say, into the planet in Silithus, and it causes a massive wound. And Khadgar has the audio line where he says, "Go, hero, to Silithus, see the wound that Sargeras has created, and know that all sorts of people are going to be fighting for power."
Like, there is literally every group, pretty much, on Azeroth has some reason to be there. Because this is Titan blood boiling to the surface. This stuff is potent.
And so, before we get into all those factions and all the different theories that, and ideas that Sage and I have on why people would be going after Titan blood, because it is so powerful, is what do you think could help seal or suture the wound? You would need something that has a tremendous amount of power to equal Titan blood. And remember, a drop of this stuff can create a pseudo well of eternity. Illidan has done that in the past with just drops of it. Let alone the actual well, when it burst, it caused the sundering. And so this is literally a wound pouring forth Titan blood. And every faction is going to come after there for power. So how do you seal that? What kind of things do we have as the heroes of Azeroth that have enough power to do that? Our artifact weapons have enough power to suture the wound.
We have been pumping these things full of artifact power. Trillions upon trillions of artifact power.
Think about it. You're taking power from every boss, every mob, every quest, everything you defeat, every raid boss. Our artifact weapons continue to get more powerful. And not to slam good old Tyrion, but the original owner of the Ashbringer apparently just left it at artifact level 1. Never upgraded it into all its full power. But on a serious note, let's think about some of these weapons and why they could be used to seal the wound, and logically makes sense that we would use them to do so.
I think the first jumping off point is, as you brought up, Ashbringer.
Ashbringer is supposedly made and crafted and forged from the heart of a Naru. When they originally find the dark, so to say, gem that the Warlock was using in the war, it was forged with light until it became light. Then it was forged in the Ashbringer. Then the Ashbringer, just like a Naru shifts between the void and the light, the Ashbringer shifted into a corrupted Ashbringer when it was used to stab in the back its former master. And then tossed back into Tyrion's hand, it switches back to the light. The Ashbringer behaves just like a Naru. So it's pretty much thought and talked about that it is forged from the heart of a Naru. And so if you want to talk about something that has power to affect Titans, what better than something that is literally an embodiment of the light and the shadow? And then our next weapon that I want to bring up is the Doombringer.
Yeah, this is an orc weapon. It was forged on Draenor in the fires of Draenor. And it is a weapon that's said to have a very powerful connection with the elements. It's used by shamans, which, as we know, shamans, the earthen ring, that's kind of their realm. So it would make sense a weapon to help repair the damage to Azeroth would be a shaman weapon.
Oh, exactly. When you're on the Broken Shore, there are several quests that talk about the earthen ring healing this broken land eventually when we're done with this battle. And so if we're going to have a wound in the size of Azeroth like that, the earthen ring will be present. And the Doomhammer is just one great weapon to be used, or maybe sacrificed, to do that. Another weapon that I want to talk about is Zeluneth. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation on that. The Arcane Mage artifact weapon. It is Egwin's staff. Egwin is our first guardian. She alone battled the Avatar of Sargeras and then sealed it up in the tomb. Like, you want to talk about horsepower on a weapon? This weapon has that kind of power to fight off legions, some of the Legion's greatest people, such as the Avatar of Sargeras, which is an embodiment of Sargeras' power. And so this weapon has a ton of power able to do something like that as well.
Yeah, if there was a weapon that would have the power to help seal up the wound, you'd think the weapon that battled with at least a part of Sargeras' power. Because this is Sargeras who's causing the wound, so, this staff has to have enough juice in it to at least contribute to sealing up this wound in Silithus.
Absolutely. Continuing on great weapons, let's talk about another key piece. You want to talk about why we would give up our weapons? Well, if the Earth is wounded, which dragon aspect's job is it to protect the Earth?
Well, let's see here. There's the Earth Warder.
And to tie back to our other video, Rathian is the current Earth Warder. Maybe he'll be there, along with Khadgar, along with all these other factions. Maybe Rathian will be like, we've got to seal this before it becomes, a damage and too much damage on Azeroth. Before she dies, literally, not just figuratively. And so, you have the scale of the Earth Warder, the Protection Warrior Shield, is literally a part of the original Earth Warder Deathwing.
Yeah.
And so, could it have power to help seal the wound?
I would think so.
Absolutely. It's got the power of the original Earth Warder. Let's take another step down the warrior line of things, which is Strom'kar, the Warbreaker. Now, Strom'kar by itself is just a really big sword, but it is touched by servants of the old god's blood. And so, if we have a wound in Silithus that is empowering an old god like Cthulhu at the end of this expansion, a weapon like that could prove handy in also sealing off the old gods from the Titan blood power.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Kind of an extra layer of defense against those who would be after this power source.
Mm-hmm. Continuing on in great weapons, we've got two that are kind of tied together in lore, and that is the Frostmourne, now the Blades of the Fallen Prince, and felo'melorn, the Fire Mage sword. And so the Blades of the Fallen Prince, we're talking about weapons that have the ability to suck up thousands upon thousands of souls and feed themselves with power. And that power is still present within these blades. Does it have a just phenomenal level of strength within this weapon that could be tapped upon to be used for something good? Absolutely. Let alone felo'melorn.
Yeah, felo'melorn is it was Kael'thas's sword.
Mm-hmm.
It is a powerful mage artifact. I'd put it up there with some of the most powerful weapons in the series. You?
Absolutely. I mean, those two weapons were able to clash with each other.
On equal playing field almost.
On almost equal playing field. So again, lots of power there.
Now, I think there's one more that we need to talk about. It's not an artifact weapon you can get, but I'd put it in the same line as an artifact weapon. Atish, the Staff of the Guardian.
Since Khadgar is the one who sends us to Silithus to look at the wound, maybe Khadgar will be the one to say, we've got to use our weapons and the power that they hold to seal this wound. And maybe Khadgar, instead of like Rathian encouraging us to use our weapons, maybe Khadgar will be there. I think this is more logical that it would be Khadgar. He would say, we've got to sacrifice our weapons. He would give up Atish, and we would all follow suit with our artifact weapons.
Perhaps, though, it could even be a double whammy. We could have Rathian convince Khadgar to give up his weapon, and Khadgar convincing us to do the same.
That it would take all that power. Now, all along those lines, I do want to say there's one weapon that I don't think is going to be given up. There's one weapon that I don't think is going to be used to seal a wound or anything like that.
No, but it will be used elsewhere.
Exactly, and that is Xal'atath, the Shadow Priest artifact weapon. Xal'atath, it has a line, it has a direct quote that says, "Remember, I am easy to lose," let alone all the other things that it says. If the old gods are coming back, this is a dagger that was used in sacrifices towards the old gods, used by cults and other people to empower the old gods.
Yeah, if there's any weapon that's not going to be used, it's the one that's directly tied with the old gods. Because these guys are our big bad next expansion. I'm not even going to say might be, they are.
Oh, they totally are. And speaking of cults, I had a happy little accident today. Sage and I were recording just, stock footage for this video, and I'm going to bring it up here now. I was in Silithus, and we were talking about factions that would want power when this happens. And
yeah, so we went down the list. Goblins with their various cartels would probably be after this. Bolvar probably would, right?
Yeah, Bolvar's been up to no good in Icecrown for a while. But then we got to the factions inside Silithus itself. And we said the Cenarian Circle will be right there at ground zero when the weapon of Sargeras stabs Azeroth. And I said also, or actually Sage said it, he said the Twilight Hammer Clan or the Twilight Clan, Twilight Cult. And so when we were out in Silithus, I got off my flying mount and I was going to get some footage, and a mob aggroed to me, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm really high level. This shouldn't happen. And remember, this is not PTR. This is live server. Anybody who's watching this, you can go check this out. It's very foreboding. The Twilight NPCs in Silithus on live right now are level 110.
Yeah, they have been buffed up at some point. Maybe this last patch, maybe even this whole expansion. We don't know.
Because nobody goes to Silithus.
Yeah.
But they are 110. And when it came at me, I thought, oh, I'll just hit it and it'll die because it's level 55. No, it's 110. And so I started flying around the zone. I started looking at all the bugs and the Karaji, and all the rest of the NPCs, except for one other group, are still level 55. But the Twilight Cult was buffed up to 110. So what does that say? To me, that's a huge indicator that because they will also be at ground zero,
Yeah.
they'll be there going, ooh! And they serve the old gods. Cho'Gall serves the old gods, and they all serve Cho'Gall. And so this is a group, a clan, a cult that does nothing but serve and live for the old gods, and now they're level 110 inside a live zone.
So these guys are going to be there, aiding Cthulhu, basically working to gather up the Titan blood to use for their own nefarious purposes.
Which leads us to the other faction that was boosted in Silithus. If you go to Cenarian Hold in Silithus, the regular NPCs, the Innkeepers, the Flight Masters, all of them, they're still level 55, 60. But the guards for the town are elite level 110s now. Kind of matching what goes on with our cultist clan. And so Sage made a joke about it. I think it's hilarious. Just imagine you're some of these Twilight clansmen, or you're the Cenarian Circle, and there's a paladin at that town. The sword's coming down, boom, ground zero, and the paladin's like, screw this, I'm Bubble Hearth, and I'm out. Absolutely hilarious. The Karaji bugs, just like bugs hitting a semi-truck's windshield. The Karaji are just going to be annihilated.
The whole zone's just, it's going to be bad.
So let's get into smaller factions that are going to be after this power. Sylvanas Windrunner needs a power source to help her people out.
Yeah, after Gen Greymane's shenanigans, she's kind of up a creek, so to speak.
Shenanigans! What a great word. She is up a creek. She's going to be there. The Alliance is going to be there. The Horde is going to be there. All sorts of factions and people are going to be after this. And we can't just leave the wound open because look at the size of the wound. In previous videos, we've shown maps. I'll bring another one up here as we play this video. But that's the zone of Silithus. It is massive.
You can't guard all that.
The only way to deal with it is to try to seal it off or contain it at some level.
Well, the other question is, who do you get to guard it? Who can you trust?
Exactly, with that kind of power. We're talking about power that can create sunderings on Azeroth.
Like, I would not put any one group, Alliance, Horde, Defia's Brotherhood, Goblins, none of them can be trusted. Not even the Earthen Ring, who you'd expect would be all for protecting it.
So if no one can be trusted, what's the best thing? For everyone, every class order hall, to give up their power to seal off this power.
Now, I will add in this, I don't think all the blood is going to be eliminated. I think some of it is going to be gathered up and captured before we can get to the wound. And who knows, that could lead to some interesting things next expansion.
And who knows, maybe by sacrificing the artifact weapons, we might not seal it completely, just get a better control, like a valve on a leak. And so, now you can control the leak a little bit. And because could these weapons fight off that much power in Titan Blood? Maybe, maybe not. But I think it is the obvious answer, lore-wise, what is going to happen to our artifact weapons. We will give them up for the sake of controlling this absolute chaos that is about to unfold between all of the different factions that are on Azeroth.
Well, and also to save Azeroth itself, because, you know, that's a bleeding wound. What happens if Azeroth bleeds out? We all die.
Exactly, and the Void Lords win. So every faction has it in their best interest, regardless, to give up their power to do that. And who holds all these weapons? Not heroes that are, NPCs. No, these are playable characters that can interact with the world, that have fought the Legion to protect Azeroth, that have fought the Old Gods to protect Azeroth. So if you're called upon to sacrifice your weapon to protect Azeroth, it lore-wise logically makes sense to give up these weapons, because we are the heroes of Azeroth, and we do want to defend. If you like this content, hit a like and subscribe. Sage and I, we're just kicking this over as we approach 100 subscriber benchmark, as we're getting closer to that. We want people to subscribe. We love people that have supported us. We've got people that leave great comments, and we have great conversations in our comments down below. But when we hit 100, Sage and I are going to go through our members, and we are going to find somebody, and we're going to give away one of my collector's edition Cataclysm box sets for the expansion. You can't get these anymore. This has a mouse pad, DVD copy, soundtrack, and a whole art book just for Cataclysm, and it comes inside of a big box, and we're going to give that away once we hit 100 subscribers to somebody down below. And so that's something to look forward to. We'll do a whole video on the details of that. We might make a contest out of it or something else like that. But as we get closer, we're going to be giving one of those away. Really appreciate all the support. Please continue the conversations down below.
We thank you for all the support you've given us so far, and continue to keep watching.
I'm Rage.
I'm Sage. Thanks for watching.
Give up your weapon.